So how do we keep the arts on Capitol Hill? Well, raise your hand if you've ever rented your home or business. Some. Will you understand what a precarious position it is for Velocity Dance Center and artists and arts organizations to be renting in a hot real estate market? We're basically paupers sitting on a gold mine. Organizations like Velocity also need wide open spaces where we can create and present art and offer classes and be these community catalysts and magnets that we are. For example, last year, or every year, Velocity is open and available to the community 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Last year, we presented 150 new works. We provided $300,000 in direct and in-kind support to artists. And arts organizations bring so many communities together, whether it's our students that range from 4 to 84, or it's community events like Black Lives Matter, or it's all the hundreds of local companies who present all over this neighborhood because of all the venues. But the precariousness of being a renter almost destroyed Velocity. In 2007, when our home, the Oddfellows building, changed hands, it was an old story. Artists made an urban neighborhood attractive to developers. Those developers moved in and they raised our rents 300%. The story was Velocity landed on its feet. The reality is it was extremely touch and go until 2013, when we were finally able to erase the debt and deficit caused by the emergency capital campaign. But here's the thing. What happened at Oddfellows could have been anticipated and avoided. We all knew it was this great cultural asset, and it could have been purchased before the developers moved in and turned into a sustainable art center. So today we have this opportunity to anticipate, to invest in strong arts organizations before they're in a state of emergency and duress, and kind of stop this cycle of poverty and vulnerability for arts not-for-profits in our city. Because almost a decade later, Velocity's back in this position of being a renter in a hot real estate market, and our lease is up in 2020. And we've also outgrown our current venue. In the past 5 years, our ticket sales have grown 348%. We are succeeding. We're bursting at the seams, but we don't have the capitalization necessary to actually take advantage of this next step in our trajectory. So what are the tools arts organizations need? Well, the Capitol Hill Arts District and the recent city money to create the pop-up V2 are our recent experiments. But V2 is temporary. It provides opportunities for artists and arts organizations, but it's not a long-term, stabilizing solution. Arts organizations and artists need stronger incentives to actually stay on Capitol Hill. Number one is affordable housing. In our recent strategic planning survey, the majority of the 307 people who responded said that they live on Capitol Hill to be close to their arts community, but they'd be happy for Velocity to move if they could have cheaper rent. We can also provide strong incentives for developers so that they perhaps help us preserve art spaces or put art spaces into these new buildings that are popping up. These incentives might be giving 50 to 100-year leases to arts organizations, or subsidies to create affordable commercial space for the arts, or incentives to help create a more predictable and faster system for these developers, like property tax abatements, or helping speed developers through costly permitting processes if they'll support arts organizations. But perhaps we can also constrain and impose requirements on developers, like they do at the Lower Manhattan Development Council, where they require businesses and developers to create multi-use spaces that have to have public and cultural spaces in them, because it ensures economic diversity and it ensures cultural vitality and livability. But most importantly, rather than wait for the next emergency, I encourage us to think like smart investors ourselves and anticipate. Invest in the capitalization planning of strong organizations now before it's an emergency. Invest in our stabilization through technical support and capitalization so we can actually, strategically pursue opportunity. So, for example, provide technical assistance in the form of space planning and design, real estate searches, capital campaign planning, or facilitate creating these multi-faceted, multi-purpose spaces that bring together really diverse organizations that have really different strengths. Or invest in capitalization by helping us plan for long-term ownership years in advance, provide savings for a down payment, or the upfront capital investment that every business needs to succeed and strategically grow. The best time to invest in arts organizations is now, when we have the time to actually plan for the future and most successfully leverage your investment. Don't wait for the next state of emergency. Let's not be reactive. Let's anticipate. Let's stop this habitual cycle of poverty and precariousness and vulnerability for artists on Capitol Hill and arts organizations in the Hill. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank the Capitol Hill Steering Committee. I want to thank my co-chair, Michael Syrat.